Hey everyone, welcome back. I wanted to do a quick review unboxing of the new D23 dolls and Jane, which is essentially a D23 doll, but just kind of going over the dolls, unboxing them, reviewing, because I saw someone post that there wasn't really a YouTube review on them. So I was like, sure, because I've been doing my little TikToks and stuff like that. So why not give you more content of these dolls since they are pretty limited. So you can decide for yourself if you want to spend the obscene amounts of money that they're going for now. But yeah, we will start with Jane, and then I will also tell you about some of the drama that surrounds their releases and how that all went down. Starting with Jane, the new boxes are like absolutely massive and I despise them. They're not new, but they were the ones that they used last year for not last year even, 2022. The D23 dolls and then their variants. But yeah, they're massive. They have giant doors, so you can't really display them in box. And they're overall just like every collector's nightmare. Hopefully this is like the last release with them, because unless the doll like really fills up the box, I don't really see the point in them having a box this big. But yeah, the box is supposed to be like her journal, I think. So on the sides, you have everything in the foiling. And then throughout here, there's little characters and stuff of Tarzan down there too. I just don't want to move the camera. But then you open it up and all of her drawings are inside as if this was her notebook, you know? The glare is going to be bad, but you can kind of see what she looks like. I'm not a huge fan of the giant like sticker on it. I think it kind of ruins the look. The D23 stickers like being like on the sides and stuff in the metallic were always fun, but like obviously this wasn't a D23, so she's more of an anniversary doll even though she's in a D23 box. But yeah, sticker not my favorite. That gorgeous, you know? And then on the back, there's all that good stuff. You can read it if you want to. She was 179.99 at the parks, and I saw someone like peel off the sticker, and apparently there's a 149 price point on there. That was like her original price or something. But yeah, I think you're just paying that 179 price solely because she's limited edition to 1,000, and I guess it's kind of whatever. I wish she came with more accessories to warrant that price versus just being rare. But yeah, the front cover kind of slides off. You know how it works, and then you can see her in the box like this. Um, Going into like what happened during the day, during the, not the day, but like the morning of release. So like everyone arrived around 5 a.m. and it was kind of like not a madhouse, but like chaotic in the sense that like there was a sense of urgency with everyone. So Disneyland also has like multiple entrances. So it was kind of trying to find the closest distance you could get in to get this doll. She was only available in 3 locations throughout the whole park. So one in California Adventure, one in Disneyland, and one in Downtown Disney. And the Downtown Disney location had over half the stock. They had 500 and some dolls. So the other 2 only had like 250 of each. So yeah, so if you had a park ticket and you could get into the parks, then the parks opened at 8 a.m. instead of the Downtown Disney location opened at 10. So you didn't have to have a park ticket to get her, but essentially you got to wait less time, you know? But yeah, so we all got there around 5, and then we were let in to like security checkpoint 1 around 6:30, and then around at 7 a.m. All of the actual security opened. So after you got out of that initial line, it kind of just became like, oh, everyone moved together. So there was no real line, which created kind of chaos in the sense that everyone felt like they had to run. So then you had people running while all the staff are yelling, "Don't run." So then we all got to the gate after security. And again, you're trying to choose one that's closest to the store that you're going to. In our case, that was Disneyland. But yeah, a lot of people were there because it was like D23 day in general. So they were there for the free ear hat or some other piece of merch that I didn't know about. Also, the entirety of the Tarzan collection dropped that day. So they could have been there for like statues, bags, ears, anything like that. But yeah, so there was a wide variety of people. But yeah, at this point, we're waiting by the gate at around 7:30, and then they brought in a bunch of film crews because they wanted to film all of us peasants running to get our free ear hats. So they scanned our tickets, but they were making us wait until the cameras were ready before they would let us go. And then they were like, "Okay, go." So then everyone just started running, even though like we're adults and like that seems like something you shouldn't be doing. But yeah, so people just didn't care and everyone ran. And then the doors for like the store is called Disneyana, but they're always closed because that store doesn't open when the park opens. But so everyone who was running just ripped open the door and started flooding inside like heathens. And you can't do that. So they all got kicked out of the store. And then they were like, okay, make a line over here. And like the store as a whole was like super unprepared for this entire release. So yeah, so then we all had to make a line, and then they kicked everyone out of the store who had ran in. And then like around 5-10 minutes later, they slowly brought us inside to then make a line zigzag throughout the store. And then we were able to like check out essentially. But checking out took like 14 years because there was only 2 cashiers in the whole store, and then they had all the stock behind the building. So they had to keep bringing everything up with like these giant carts. So every time one person would check out, it would take like 20 minutes because they had to bring out the stock from the back because again, unprepared. And then like let the person check out, and then if you wanted it in a bag, a shipper box, whatever, blah blah blah. So yeah, that was just kind of an endless process, and it was limit 2 per person, so obviously everyone was like doing that. And so like that's cut that quantity that the store got essentially in half. So like if you weren't the first 125 people in line, like you were already doomed essentially. So they went very, very fast. Like there was a huge line outside by the time we finished checking out, and none of those people were going to get anything because the line inside weaved so much that by the time you get to 125 people, like they were just gone. But yeah, we were successful, and here she is. So now we can get into the review. And here she is out of the box. It's kind of what you see is what you get with her, since there aren't any accessories and anything like that, which again for the $108 price tag is a bit insane. But I really love her, especially in the face. The sculpt, like in person, it's very like bring the animation to life kind of a way, and it's very successful in that regards. Also vibrancy, she is super like, it's like a super saturated yellow, so it's really gonna pop in your collection and all of that good stuff. It is 2 pieces with the skirt being separate from the top, and then the bow is attached to the skirt part as well. The embroidery is all very nicely done, as you can see, metallic. And then this is the skirt. This, like the rhinestones on it really do like catch the light. So I was very impressed overall with Jane, despite her lack of things, essentially. She has a separate petticoat underneath. I wish this whole lace part was like another layer underneath, and it would have been on when these dolls were in their heyday, but this is what we have to deal with now. So yeah, we do. And then the shoes are way too short and they piss me off because they should be like up here at least, or like at least up there. And then she like needs tights or stockings or something because that's like a really relevant part of the movie, is seeing the monkey or whatever steal her shoe. So that's frustrating, but when she's like standing and the dress is like covering it, it's hard to tell. I would have even taken like if they made her legs white, like Mattel does sometimes. Like, you know, let's try something. But yes, this is Jane. She is amazing. And out of all of the like, I don't know what you call them, like the Disney ladies that aren't princesses, I think she is definitely the best out of all of them in terms of like coming to life from the animation. Because Esmeralda is an actual disaster with that face. And then Kita has no neck with the way they did the sculpt, even though I love the design of the doll. And then Meg is probably second. But yeah, Jane is going to be first. Let me get those other dolls out here so we can compare them to her, which is what I just said. So yeah, here they all are together, what I was just talking about. But you can just see how she just looks like she's like glowing. She's sparkling. She's amazing. Compared to everyone else who is just kind of like existing, you know? But yeah, like this is fine, but the way I forget this doll exists half the time because she just like came and went and no one really cared. And like it should have been a more grand occasion. But yeah, this is like the worst face sculpt I've ever seen in my entire life. It is absolutely dreadful. The paint is absolutely dreadful. And the 12-inch version was so gorgeous. And I don't understand where this like disgusting cartoony creature came from. But she exists. So now we have all of them together in perfect harmony with Jane being the supreme as she should be. And yeah, they look great. So yeah, now we're finished with Jane and we can start on Ariel. And now for Ariel, this release was like also insane in the sense that whereas for Jane, if you wanted her, you could show up at an early hour and then wait in line to then like get her, you know? But for Ariel, it was all virtual queue. So you had to wake up at 4 a.m. and essentially gamble with what position you would get in that line. And unfortunately, I got an absolutely horrid position. So it went to the first boarding group, like the farthest I saw the numbers going was like 129, I think. So like I was number 89. And then I had like 3 phones going. One of my phones got 89, one got 91, and then one got nothing. So then this is at 4 a.m. So everyone was like messaging me or messaging each other being like, oh, what boarding group did you get? What boarding group did you get? And of course I got like the absolute least, like furthest, highest number out of everyone. So like I'm instantly spiraling. And then essentially people started showing up to wait in line around 4 a.m. as if it was the same situation like the 2022 expo. Like they would be let in some capacity, but like that wasn't the case from my understanding. So I was like, I'm not gonna bother showing up at 4 a.m. when I have to have this virtual queue to even get access to the store. So we obviously just kind of stayed at home until the expo started at 9 because like there was no point in my mind. So yeah, so then from my understanding, people who got there early, like I'm talking like 5 6 a.m., they were led into like this basement of sorts, and they had all of the virtual queue numbers there in like lines for the floor. So you lined up on the floor, so like it was like groups like 1 through 10 or 20 through 30 and stuff like that. So you were allowed to like essentially pre-wait your position in the queue downstairs for some reason. So then around, I don't know what time it was, but someone messaged me. And again, all of this could be like slightly wrong, but this is like 90% accurate because like again I wasn't there. But yeah, so around, it was like 7:30, someone was like, oh my gosh, they're letting us upstairs, which I was like confused. But like the thing you have to understand about the store this year is like the store was in the middle of an experience that they made essentially. So like it was surrounded by like Lego, and you did this and you could go do this and that and that. So like you didn't have to have a virtual queue to get into the building, which is how they made it seem. So you just had to like, because you could like still do all the experiences as just a person in the expo. But yeah, so they brought everyone upstairs then into like a standing line essentially, but there was no communication from the cast members like explicitly stating like, hey, you have to have had a virtual queue called in order to be in this line. So I knew people who were waiting in line that entire time. And then it wasn't until like well after 9, where they had called like groups 1 through 20 originally, that they were yelling at people and being like, you have to have a number between 1 through 20 or you can't be in this line. And like the cops got involved. Everyone was like really frantic, and apparently like this lady was like yelling at everyone. But yeah, so essentially all the cast members had led everyone up there, not gatekeeping like queue position, which was the entire point. And then there was a standby line somehow that got mixed in front of everyone. So then by the time I got there, the cast members were like looking at your phone, and they're like, unless you have this position, like do not be in this line. So it was kind of people just trying to like sneak through, even though like you had to have the physical thing on your phone, so there was no point. But yeah, so this just caused like huge panic, and everyone was freaking out, and no one understood why they were let upstairs when they weren't gonna have a chance to shop until the virtual thing. And it was like people essentially trying to like skip their virtual system and stuff. But yeah, it was just a disaster. So eventually they like super cracked down, and they like separated that line upstairs so you couldn't even get past this like checkpoint into the next line without showing that your virtual queue had been called and that you had it on your QR code. So it took them like, I would say like 3.5 hours just to get through the groups like 1 and it was like 1 through 30, I would say. It took like 3 hours. And then all of a sudden, after they got all the kinks straightened out, it like started flying. So then like as soon as it got to like 40, it was like 40, 50, 60, 70, and it just kept flying like that. So like we were all freaking out in that regard because we didn't know how many dolls were left, because we've just been standing at the expo because we couldn't do anything that whole time. And yeah, so then my group finally got called and we all ran up, and then you had to wait, even though it's a virtual line, you had to wait in another line when you got up there in order to go into the store. And then once you got into the store, all of the dolls were another line. So it was just like the virtual queue was a disaster and didn't really have a point. So then we finally got in there, we got our dolls, and then it was all like mobile checkout. So like once you got through the threshold of the store, it was essentially just a matter of like checking out yourself. So you had to scan everything on your phone, and they were like enacting that there was a limit in terms of like Ariel's, but like you could kind of get around that if you had just exited the store at different times or paid separately. But yeah, so by the time we got in, it was like close to 1 p.m. and the next virtual queue like sign up was at 1 p.m. So they had hardly, I think that's why they like flew through the rest of the numbers, because they had to let those other people like attempt to go into the store. But Ariel sold out around like 30 minutes after I got into the store, around 1:30. So it was like very, very, very stressful, very chaotic, very close call. But we were successful in getting her. So now let's get her out of the box. We can go ahead and get this out of the way, because this is like a super irrelevant, cheap, gross accessory that didn't need to exist. And I like how the last D23 dolls, they all got like fully metal lamp. Jasmine did. And like, this is what Jasmine came with, the D23 doll. A fully metal lamp with jewels, opens, you can hold it. And then Ariel gets this. What is this? It's not good. It's not great. And then the other D23 dolls in 2022, they got the full like sculptures. Like Merida got her brothers, and then Snow White got the Dopey figure holding the ring, but like same price, and this is what you get. Why? But yeah, on to Ariel herself. Like, as a whole, visually, she's very impressive, and obviously I like to look at her, and like it's like nice to have this dress represented again in terms of like, not represented again, but like represented in terms of like the 17-inch dolls. It's nice that we finally have this dress. But she just feels very much in the same vein as like Aurora from this year and like Mulan. Like, if you own those dolls, you know what I'm talking about, where like they just don't feel good. They don't feel expensive. They don't feel quality. They don't feel like they don't feel the way you want them to feel, you know? And like, especially when we start doing comparisons, like you'll see what I'm talking about. But like, I don't know. I was kind of disappointed when I opened the box, not going to lie. And like, this isn't even a separate piece. Like, this is all sewn in. And then like, yeah, like, so this is all just part of the skirt. This is all just one piece. This isn't like, you know, I don't know. Again, if you owned her, visually, great. Face sculpt, great. Everything, face, neck up, gorgeous. Like, you can't beat that. Absolutely best Ariel we've ever seen. But outfit and all that jazz, it's just, it leaves a little to the imagination. And again, this is an accessory. Why? It should be embroidered. It should be thick. It should be like relevant, because this is just like nothing, you know? Like, there's no substance behind her. So like, if you get her, leave her in box, because you'll be way more satisfied with her in that way. But yeah, she's pretty to look at from a distance. Maybe if like the dress went all the way to the floor or something, like just to make it more grand. Like, this is D23. Like, D23 has some of the most extravagant dolls ever, and like, you would never guess this is a D23 doll based on extravagance in that way. Like, these are her like relevant comparisons, I would say, in terms of like quality. And again, if you own either of these dolls, you understand that they like exist, but they don't thrive. Like, this is the same material, you know? Like, and Mulan has more, and she was a normal release. I don't know. I just want more. I want glamour. I want extravagance. I want gowns. I want it all, as Sharpay once did. Here she is next to two previous D23 dolls, just so you can again like see kind of the quality thing I'm talking about. But for instance, her and Giselle both retailed for the same price. They're both limited edition to 1,000 pieces. Who do you think looks more extravagant, more D23, more limited, more quality? You know, like, that's what I'm talking about. Even the pink dress Ariel, this is like the mermaid head, so ignore that part. But look at that dress. Look at all of the details in it. Look at the layers. Look at the quality of fabrics. Look at how much is going on. Opulence. And then we have this town Ariel. Like, I don't know. Something was just missing. She's a gorgeous doll. If this was like the regular release, sure, I'll be happy with it. But it's not a D23 release by any means. And then lastly, here she is with her other like peasant dress princess variations. I really love them all together. It's nice to see everyone like in their couture versions of their like quote unquote rags dress. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous as a set. And again, Ariel looks really cool individually. Not individually, as the set of all of them. Yeah. And I hope we get a Belle to go with these girls. I want a Jasmine. I want everyone in this like style, you know? They're just absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, there you have both dolls. As you can see, look how much better Ariel looks with a physical prop instead of this. But yeah, overall, great, fun expo. I want more super rare characters as expo dolls. I don't think anyone who's got any character who's gotten an expo doll should get another one because there's so many characters. So like, I don't need another Ariel. Give me a Belle. Give me a Rapunzel. Like, I don't care about these anniversaries. You can just make a good doll of a character that's beloved for no reason at all. Like, you don't have to justify it with an anniversary. So yeah, let's do more of that, and let's keep bringing these like rare characters to life because Jane is fantastic, minus a few missing details for the price point. But yeah, I want to see Jessica Rabbit. I want to see Anastasia from Fox. All of those things would make fantastic D23 sets. So here's to hoping. And yeah, hopefully you liked this rant if you weren't there. Hopefully this gave you some insight on the horrible process. And like, share, all that good stuff. And I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.